So I'm going to be talking about data and democracy, but moreover, technology and democracy. As when I started writing this talk, it kind of moved from data to include technology as well. So for those of you that don't know, hi, I'm James. I'm a data engineer at Holiday Extras, and that's my Twitter handle. So if you wanted my Twitter handle, cool. So why am I qualified to give this talk? In short, I'm not. I just wanted to share some things that I've learned, as well as maybe get you thinking about the subject which I will follow on from. So what gave me the inspiration for this talk was a book by Jamie Bartlett called The People versus Tech. It's a very good book. It covers this subject and a lot more. So if this does interest you, I would suggest giving that a read. So within the coming few years, technology will either crush politics or politics will stamp its authority over technology. Technology is currently winning this battle. So when I refer to technology in this talk, I'm talking mainly about Silicon Valley technologies, such as social media and Amazon marketplaces, those kinds, not F-16 fighter jets or the X-ray machine. And when I refer to democracy in this talk, I'm talking about modern liberal democracy, what we have in this country. We vote for someone and they are elected to make political decisions on our behalf. And I will only be talking about modern Western democracy, as looking beyond that becomes a completely different talk entirely. So technology and democracy can go hand in hand. Technology gives us a platform to view and voice opinions that may not necessarily be heard. And I'm sure many of you in this room now would say that technology has made you more informed, more productive, and in some ways happier. But that isn't necessarily a good thing for democracy. And this leads me into data and our free will. So social media is just the current bid to control us. It happened with TV, radio, as well as print. And on from there, just to show how much advertising we are being shown, Google's revenue for 2016, 90% of it was through advertising. It dropped to 85% in 2017, but it still made up 95 billion of their 110 billion made. And the way that this was done was via a complete feedback loop. They tested products such as adverts, got feedback from that, such as click and interactions, and then that fed back into the model on what should be being shown to us. This is one of the core concepts of dataism. Dataism is the belief that mathematical theory can be used on humans as well as machines. And it follows the belief that with enough data collected on someone, it can unlock the wonders of the human mind and potentially influence it. So Chris Anderson in 2008, he was then the editor of Wired, said, "Out with every theory of human behavior. Who knows why people do what they do? The fact is they do it and we can track it. Google engineers don't theorize about why certain features worked or why people clicked on adverts. They just do things and see what happens." So retention, as many of you out there know, each website out there is carefully crafted to keep you there and your attention on that page. Take Facebook, for example, notifications, numbers everywhere, messages, likes, and all in red, so it must be important. Reverse chronological timelines, as well as autoplay videos. And companies nowadays are aware that people spend so much time on their phones, which is why Apple released in their latest OS update a screen time functionality. So this is mine, and I'm going to take you through a couple of my days. Tuesday, 4th of December, 3 hours, 102 pickups, 147 notifications. Thursday, the 6th of December, 1 hour, 4 minutes, 64 pickups, 57 notifications. Saturday, the 8th of December, 4 hours, 45 minutes, 131 pickups, 199 notifications. And I know what you're thinking. Boy, he's popular. So this leads me on to when you take out sleep, I roughly spend every 9 minutes checking my phone. That works out to about 20% of my awake day spent looking at my phone. And I'm not alone in this. The average, an average adult checks their phone every 12 minutes. I didn't think I was that addicted to my phone until I started looking at this, but it is very clear that me and many others are addicted to their phones. And a quote from the New York University School of Business: addictions are making way to alcohol and addictions to alcohol and tobacco are making way for a digital dependency. There's been a decline in substance and tobacco abuse in younger generations, and they are contributing that to they're getting their fix from social media. And the main thinking behind this is that when you get a ping, a buzz, your brain releases dopamine and it makes you happy. But the truth is much worse. The way dopamine circuitry works is it predicts how much you're going to enjoy something. And then when we fall short on that, you're stuck in a constant feedback loop of just trying to get that fix. So tech companies are aware of this exploit in human behavior, and they use it to their advantage. So in May 2017, Facebook's Australian marketing team said that they could tell when a teenager was most deflated, anxious, and depressed. Facebook hit back, saying they don't offer tools to allow targeting to people based on their emotional state, but the thought alone is scary enough. So the end goal of dataism is that each one of us can be boiled down to a unique data point, a unique targetable data point. And anyone that's spoken to a chatbot or seen a recommendation for a product they've already bought knows this technology isn't perfect, but the trajectory is clear, that it's not too far in the future where every decision you make will be carefully crafted around you by a machine learning algorithm that knows you better than you know yourself. So take, for example, a smart world. You wake up to a preset alarm that knows your average getting ready time, how long it takes you to get to work, including traffic. You're suggested a nutritional breakfast from biometrics taken from your watch. You get in your driverless car where a smart AI gives you directions for that meeting today based on previous performances. The opportunities for advertising here are huge. Say time off work is coming up, so an ad pops up for lounges from the airport you're flying out. The weather's looking good, ad for sun cream. You complain about traffic, ad for fast track so you don't have to queue at the airport. Now, this seems like an ideal world to some, but to me this sounds like an episode of Black Mirror. And there are two clear threats as a democratic citizen that a world like this can have. So can we mature as people politically with the constant watch of social media and data collection? And two, can we even trust ourselves to make good, correct decisions? So every month we're seeing more and more people on social media being ridiculed for opinions they held in the past. Take, for example, one of my heroes, Kanye West. He was ridiculed for supporting Trump, and then a few months later, he said, I don't hold those beliefs anymore. I could see I was being used as a political pawn. He changed his opinion, which his tweets no longer represented. So in the late 18th century, a man called Jeremy Bentham created the idea of a panopticon. It was basically the... Okay. So, picking up where I left off, back in the late 18th century, a man called Jeremy Bentham came up with the idea of a panopticon. A panopticon was a prison where all the inmates could be watched by a single guard without the knowledge that they was being watched. And this can be applied to the way social media works. And a quote from Prison Break: "We are captives of our own identities, living in a prison of our own creation." So in this modern day panopticon of social media, everyone is watching and everyone is also the watchers. Knowing something that you say could be dug up in the future to, say, ruin your career creates a soft but constant censorship. It may not seem that way with people hurling abuse at each other on Twitter, but for every loudmouth troll, there are thousands of others out there that choose to stay quiet. Developing the ability to think for oneself requires that we say controversial things and make mistakes and then learn from them. And an important part of self-development is forgetting that you held those beliefs and then learning to change your opinion. We are discovering, as people are discovering more and more, the internet never forgets. You'll always be reminded of that one thing you maybe once believed in when you was ill-informed or young. This is not a healthy environment for free-thinking adults. And the second threat to a democratic citizen is more philosophical and existential. So just keep that in mind as I go through this. We view decision-making as uniquely human, and we hold that quite valuable to ourselves. So if a machine learning algorithm armed with petabytes of data can make consistently better decisions, what does that mean for us? So diagnosis through machine learning will outperform doctors within a few years. It already is, it's just regulation is slower than tech. And it won't be long until these decisions are used more for machine learning, such as aid distribution, spotting oil leaks, and then it won't be long before it switches from a practical decision to a moral decision. Now, a moral decision-making machine learning algorithm would make cold, hard, calculated decisions. It wouldn't be able to grasp the subtlety of human decision-making, but that wouldn't stop people relying on it. People are easily swayed by data and numbers, no matter how imperfect they are, as they promise an exact judgment-free answer. And believe it or not, we already rely on data models to help with decisions that have moral consequences, such as hiring policies, police distribution, and all of these have huge moral implications in the real world. So data models always start with a framed question. You want to see some sort of outcome. If the person asking that question has a bias, that bias carries through into the data model. So some police forces in America are using machine learning to help with their police distribution crisis. Crime tends to occur more in poorer areas, so the machine learning algorithm suggests more police go to those areas, more people are arrested in those areas, and that feedback into the model, creating a constant feedback loop of injustice. So we haven't handed over voting to machine learning yet, but in the 2015 general election, 5 million Brits used an app called iSidewith to advise them on who they should vote for. These people didn't know what this app did behind the scenes. They popped in their values and what they believed in, and out popped a political party. And the fact that these people didn't know how this worked bothered absolutely no one. So if people are going to be using an app to decide, use an app to decide or help advise, why not just hand the process over to them anyway, to machines anyway, as they could make a better decision than we know for ourselves. So having AI smarter than us, and by that I mean consistently making better choices and not necessarily more intelligent than us, would have huge implications to our self-worth. If there's something that a machine can decide for us better, then why should we even partake in everyday life? Why should we bother going out to vote for someone to then make decisions if this machine can just say, here's the answer? If we don't bother to do that, then we only get better at making decisions by making decisions, learning whether they was wrong or right, and then taking that into our own constant feedback loop. And if we hand over decision-making to a machine, all decision-making, it really is a point of no return. So I want to end on this question. How often do you let a machine decide for you? And some things spring to mind for me. So I jump in my car and Google Maps suggests, oh, it will take you 21 minutes to get to work if you take this route. Okay, I just follow it. And even at a smaller level, this morning I went to get a coffee, I pressed the latte button on the machine, and that machine decided how I liked my coffee. That is now how I like my coffee because that's how I've had it for the past 2 years. And it's decisions like these which will slowly creep up on us and eventually hand everything over. So thank you. And are there any questions?